I did see this clip. Okay, so this also, I just have to warn you if you have kids, there's some swearing here. All right, here we go. This is Christina Padzitsky, and she's
problem with feminism in the women's movement.
Yeah.
It didn't account for becoming a mother. There was Gloria Steinem, God bless her. I don't hate these people. I'm just saying Gloria never had babies. So how the fuck do we do what the men are doing and be a good mother?
Yeah.
It's so hard to do both at the same time.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible.
Well, it's almost like those traditional gender roles exist for a reason.
Oh, you mean like thousands of years of evolution?
They've naturally
biology?
happened this way.
Yeah.
And just because the modern world took its turn and evolved to what it is, it really doesn't negate what thousands of years kind of dictated.
Yeah.
And then you find that like a lot of women, it's the problem isn't the choice to be like, I want to be, it's the looking down on it.
That's what's fucked
It's the criticism, the pretentiousness.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of,
and it is probably stronger in a city like New York,
Yeah.
where they're like, oh, you can't fucking do both. Like, it's like,
but I also feel like there's a little bit of self-hatred there.
Yeah.
It's like, I think some women are kind of envious of the fact that these other women have children and families and this other purpose and this thing to live for.
Yeah.
And they've dedicated their entire life to, working at this job that they might not even fucking like.
right.
But they got that VP title.
Yeah.
But now
I
they're
know.
45 with the VP title and all their friends have these beautiful families. They can't go out to dinner every Tuesday.
Right.
They're busy. And it's maybe they feel kind of like lied to or manipulated.
Yeah, and feminism is a lie, right? And so we still have to fight against this lie that's pervading society. I mean, I feel like the mindset is now it's shifting. There's as we proliferate this message of anti-feminism and spread it everywhere, and more and more people are aware of what's going on, they can see that it's a lie. But as this woman said in the beginning, I totally agree with what she said.
Problem with feminism in the women's
We'll just
movement,
listen to it
it
again.
didn't account for becoming a mother.
Okay, so she's totally right, but it's a half truth. Okay, and what I mean by that is this: she's totally right. It didn't account for becoming a mother. It didn't factor motherhood into the movement. But I would go further than that, and I would say from the beginning, feminism rebelled against being a mother. It wasn't just miscalculation. We forgot that women have babies. We forgot where babies came from. Oh, geez, how stupid. Facepalm, No, feminism was from the very beginning. If you read the Seneca Falls Convention, the articles that were created by the American feminists in the Seneca Falls Convention, I believe 1858 or 48 or something, in the middle of the 19th century, they clearly hate motherhood. They clearly hate domesticity. They clearly are trying to, in every single way, in terms of their declaration of, their articles, their manifesto, their feminist manifestos, they are trying to pull women out of the home and away from their families. That was feminism from the very beginning. And if anybody disagrees with that, they're just plain wrong. They're just not, they're coping. They're trying to keep, they're trying to keep the toxic poisonous root. And they're just, chopping off the branches so that it doesn't create toxic poisonous fruit. But a toxic poisonous root will eventually create, and only can create, poisonous fruit. And the root of feminism is rotten. It is poisonous from the very beginning. It was not a Christian movement. It was not a movement that valued motherhood, because if it valued motherhood, it wouldn't have even formed a movement. True femininity doesn't want true femininity wants to celebrate motherhood, wants to exalt motherhood, wants to give mothers and women who want to become mothers a special place of dignity and exaltation that is called the home. The home is the place for exalting the mother and giving the mother free reign and space to work and the freedom to raise her children and properly nurture and take care of her family. That is what feminism hated. Feminism hated the home, and it was really a bunch of women who hated childbirth and who were very, rich and aristocratic and wanting to move and push themselves away from the kind of low level, what they deemed as low level, life as it pertains to family life. And they wanted to go out and do the same things that men would do if, the men were single or whatever. They just wanted to mimic male life. And they hated the nature of female life, which is the fruition of which is motherhood. And so it wasn't that they just miscalculated motherhood, the factor of motherhood. It's that they did calculate the factor of motherhood, and they repudiated and hated the factor of motherhood. It was the fact of motherhood that the feminists were running away from. They were running away from the family, and running towards what looked like people without families, which on the masculine model, men don't have babies. And so they created a model that just mimicked men because men don't have babies. So that's really the issue. G.K. Chesterton has this great quote, and he says this: "I do not deny that women have been wronged and even tortured, but I doubt if they were ever tortured as much as they are tortured now by the absurd modern attempt to make them domestic empresses and competitive clerks at the same time." And really, that's the problem with feminism as well, that women are expected to be homemakers and competitive clerks. They're supposed to be in the home and in the workplace at the same time. And ultimately, it doesn't work. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to choose between the things that you really value, which is family life, and the things that are secondary or tertiary to the dream of family life. The ultimate goal of marriage should be family life. And if it's not, then you shouldn't be married. I can understand why a woman wouldn't get married and would just want to be single and work, her whole life and not be a mother. Fair enough. There's another quote by Chesterton that says, there are lawyers that don't want to be judges, right? And there are women who don't want to be mothers. Fair enough. But it's like the higher calling is to be a mother, in the sense that you're a woman who says, she wants to abandon the home so that she can work in the workplace. That's just, she's lowering herself. Nobody should want that. I can understand a higher calling being to serve Christ and to devote yourself to the church. And in that sense, there are women in church history who've done that. And I think that's even a higher call than motherhood. But certainly they weren't thinking of becoming competitive clerks. They weren't thinking of becoming, employees in a factory or in a sort of, sky-rise business, tower where they're, sitting in a cubicle, creating TPS reports. So anyway, feminism is a lie, and Jesus is the answer.